Few neighboring countries engage in as many constant quarrels, arguments, and rivalries as Kenya and Tanzania. Over the years, their differing views have spanned politics, sports, and even debates over who speaks better Swahili. Politically, tensions flared recently when Tanzanian Member of Parliament Joseph Musukuma accused Kenyans of interfering in Tanzanian affairs. These tensions rose from the arrest and deportation of Kenyan activists in Tanzania. Joseph Musukuma boldly declared during a speech in the Tanzanian parliament that Tanzanians are superior to Kenyans. He said, and I quote, "We are far ahead of them politically and intellectually. We top in everything. Speaking good English isn't a priority for us." As expected, Kenyans, especially politicians, didn't remain silent. In response, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna sarcastically suggested that the Kenyan parliament should conduct its sessions entirely in Kiswahili so Tanzanian MPs could understand us clearly. He said, and I quote, "Tomorrow, we'll use only Kiswahili in parliament so our Tanzanian counterparts can clearly understand us." The Swahili banter went a bit further. Tanzanians often joke that Kenyans speak Swahili as if they are late for a matatu, while Kenyans counter with memes and slang phrases that no Tanzanian can understand. At a 2023 summit in Dar es Salaam, President Samia Suluhu Hassan teased Kenyan President William Ruto for greeting her with "Jambo," saying the proper phrase should be "Habari ya mchana." She joked, and I quote, "These Kenyans, we need to put them in Swahili lessons."
Habari za mchana. Juzi Ruto alitufundisha jambo, akasema semeni jambo, tukasema jambo. Lakini the real thing ni habari za mchana. Hawa Kenya hawa kwenda kusaini mkataba, anasema kuweka kidole mkataba. Inabidi tuwaweke kwenye lessons za Kiswahili.
President Ruto didn't hold back and responded with a dose of good-natured banter of his own. He said, and I quote, "Tanzanians speak fluent Swahili and Kenyans speak fluent English."
Mnatuzungumzia na Kiswahili, Kiingereza ambayo sio kizuri, na sisi tunaongelesha Kiswahili ambazo sio kizuri. Vile alikuwa anataka kusema ni kwamba mnatuzungumzia na Kiswahili sanifu. Sasa nikapata kidogo wasiwasi kwa sababu kule kwetu Azimio ni mambo mengine. Azimio ni chama ya upinzani, kuna fujo kweli.
The rivalry even extended into sports. After Tanzania's 3-0 loss to Morocco in the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations, Kenyans couldn't resist a dig. One Kenyan fan posted on social media in Kiswahili, "Jirani hana mfumo." That sentence means in English that the neighbor has no system. But while I enjoy the banter and cross-border roasting as much as any East African, that's not what brings us here today. Today, we are exploring a different kind of rivalry. This is very a productive, constructive, transformative rivalry that is set to shape the future of the two nations and the East African region. This rivalry is the race for standard gauge railway supremacy. In this 27th episode, we are diving into a head-to-head comparison of the current operating sections of the standard gauge railway systems in Kenya and Tanzania. We'll compare Mombasa to Naivasha versus Dar es Salaam to Dodoma. We will unpack everything from size of financing, revenues, carrying capacity, cost, comfort, ticket pricing, and future plans. Stay with us to find out who's setting the pace for East Africa's rail revolution. Let us start with the distances of operating standard gauge railway lines in Kenya and Tanzania. First, let's begin with the Dar es Salaam-Dodoma line. This line spans a total of 442 kilometers. On June 14, 2024, the Tanzania Railway Corporation launched service on the Dar es Salaam to Morogoro segment. That stretch alone covers 205 kilometers. Then, just over a month later, on July 25, 2024, operations were extended all the way to Dodoma. This brought the full operational length to 442 kilometers, end to end. Now, what about the stations? The train departs from Dar es Salaam terminus and stops at 6 modern stations along the route. These include Pugu, Soga, Ruvu, Njarenjara, and Morogoro, before reaching its final stop at Dodoma, near Makutupara station. This line is estimated to serve 10 million people. That's roughly the number of residents living in communities along its path. Now let's head over to Kenya. And let us look at the Mombasa-Naivasha line. This one stretches approximately 595 kilometers. Passenger services kicked off on June 1, 2017, between Mombasa and Nairobi. Freight operations followed closely in January 2018. Then, on October 16, 2019, the line was extended from Nairobi to Naivasha. That completed the full operational corridor we see today. Strategically, this railway links Mombasa, the largest port in East Africa, to Naivasha, a growing inland logistics hub. The train stops at several key stations, including Mombasa Terminus, Mariakani, Mayaseni, Voi, Mtito Andiai, Kibwezi, Emali, Ethai River, Nairobi Terminus, and Saswa, near Naivasha. And get this, it's estimated to serve over 15 million people. Yes, 15 million. That's a significant boost for mobility and trade between Kenya's coastal and inland regions. So, in terms of distance, Kenya takes the lead. 595 kilometers from Mombasa to Naivasha, compared to 442 kilometers from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma. And when it comes to people served, Kenya again comes out ahead. 15 million versus Tanzania's 10 million. In this second part, let us compare two major cities and the two major ports that these two railway lines serve. Let us start by comparing Nairobi and Dodoma. We will focus three key areas: population, economy, urban energy, and size. According to World Population Review, Nairobi's population in 2025 is estimated at approximately 5.77 million people. In contrast, Dodoma's population stands at around 336,561. That means Nairobi is home to more than 16 times as many people as Dodoma. And in terms of population density, Nairobi packs in about 4,509 people per square kilometer, while Dodoma is far more spread out, with just 125 people per square kilometer. Quite a contrast. Now let's talk money. According to World Bank estimates, Kenya's GDP in PPP terms for 2025 is around $359 billion. Nairobi contributes an estimated $32.1 billion of that, thanks to its role as a major financial and tech hub. On the other hand, Dodoma's economy is valued at roughly $170 million, a much smaller share, largely tied to public administration. When it comes to earnings, the gap continues. In Nairobi, the average monthly salary after tax is about $395, as reported by Money 254. In Dodoma, it's slightly lower, about $320 per month, according to Salary Expert. According to the World Bank, Nairobi's urban population is growing at an impressive 4.1% per year. It's a fast-paced city fueled by innovation, international business, and infrastructure development. Meanwhile, Dodoma, while growing steadily at 2.2% annually, has a different vibe, more administrative, slower-paced, and shaped by its role as Tanzania's political heart. Let's talk about learning. Nairobi hosts over 10 universities, including the University of Nairobi and Strathmore University. Dodoma's centerpiece is the University of Dodoma, one of Tanzania's largest, but overall fewer higher learning institutions exist in the city. Infrastructure tells a similar story. Nairobi boasts modern expressways, bypasses, and a well-developed standard gauge railway. Dodoma is catching up, its railway line was just extended, and road networks are expanding as part of broader urban development plans. To sum up this second part, Nairobi is more populous, wealthier, and more densely developed. Dodoma, while smaller and quieter, is growing steadily as Tanzania's administrative capital. Now, let's turn our attention to two of East Africa's most important ports. These ports are the terminals of our standard gauge railways, the Port of Mombasa and the Port of Dar es Salaam. According to the Kenya Ports Authority, the Port of Mombasa handled 41.1 million tons of cargo in 2024. That's a 14.1% increase compared to the previous year. Container throughput also hit a major milestone, just over 2 million TEUs, a 23.5% jump from 2023. Transshipment traffic was even more impressive, it surged 132.9%, reaching nearly 492,000 TEUs. But this port doesn't just serve Kenya. It also handles goods for Uganda, South Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, and the Eastern DRC. In fact, Uganda alone accounted for 8.8 million tons, that's 65.7% of Mombasa's total transit cargo. This regional demand is one of the main drivers behind extending the railway to Kampala. In terms of infrastructure, Mombasa is well equipped. It has 20 berths, more than 3,000 meters of quay, and specialized terminals for bulk goods, oil, containers, and even cruise ships. Now let's shift to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania's principal port. Between May and November 2024, the port handled 14.4 million tons of cargo. That's a 5.6% increase over the same period in 2023. During the first 11 months of the year, the port processed nearly 599,000 TEUs. Transit cargo volumes also rose 6.3 million tons, up 19.3% year-on-year. This port serves Zambia, Malawi, Rwanda, and the Eastern DRC. It features 11 deepwater berths and approximately 2,600 meters of quay. And thanks to a $85 million modernization investment by DP World, turnaround times have dropped dramatically, from 30 days down to just 6. In this third part, we are going to look at how the two standard gauge railways performed in 2024. We will start with Kenya's Mombasa-Naivasha line, then we will move to Tanzania's Dar es Salaam-Dodoma line. In Kenya, the Mombasa-Naivasha SGR transported 2.45 million passengers in 2024. That's a 10% decline from 2023. But here's the twist, despite fewer passengers, revenue went up. Passenger earnings rose by 41%, reaching 4.09 billion Kenyan shillings, or about $31.6 million US. This growth was driven by fare adjustments and the launch of premium class coaches in October. Freight volumes remained steady at 6.53 million tons. And overall, the SGR generated 18.2 billion Kenyan shillings in total revenue for the 2023-24 fiscal year. That's 82% of Kenya Railways' total income. Now let's move to Tanzania. In just the first 4 months of operation, the Dar es Salaam-Dodoma SGR carried over 1 million passengers. By September 2024, the service had generated TZS 15.7 billion, or about $6.2 million in passenger revenue. To support freight operations, the Tanzania Railways Corporation procured 264 new freight wagons. These are part of a larger order of 1,430 wagons, valued at $127.2 million. This investment is expected to significantly boost cargo capacity and logistics efficiency. In terms of performance, it is difficult to compare because Tanzania's standard gauge railway is less than 1 year old while the Kenya is more than 5 years old. Probably this will be possible in the coming future. In this fourth part, let us look at the technical details which control the operating cost of the railway system. Starting with Tanzania. It is an electrified line system. It operates passenger trains at 160 km per hour and freight trains at 120 km per hour. Each train carries up to 589 passengers and comes equipped with modern amenities like Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and CCTV. And thanks to its electric traction system, it helps avoid an estimated 50,000 tons of CO2 emissions annually. In terms of operating cost, the expenses of Tanzania's electrified railway remained relatively stable in 2024 because the electrical energy comes from Tanzania grid. Now, moving to Kenya. The Mombasa-Naivasha Madrasa Express uses diesel-powered locomotives. Passenger trains run at 120 km per hour, while freight trains operate at 80 km per hour. Each train can accommodate up to 1,200 passengers. And in 2024, the line served 2.45 million passengers. However, the system faces higher fuel costs and greater carbon emissions due to its reliance on diesel engines. In 2024, the operating cost of Kenya's SGR rose significantly due to rising fuel prices. According to Kenya Railways, this spike in fuel costs led to a 50% fare increase, which took effect on January 1, 2024. So, in terms of energy and operating cost, Tanzania's modern railway is cleaner, with stable operation costs, while Kenya's railway remains vulnerable, with operating costs depending on fluctuations in global fuel prices. In this fifth and last part, let's take a closer look at the development, financing, and ticketing of the two standard gauge railways lines. Let's begin with construction. On the one hand, the Tanzanian section from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma was developed through a 50:50 joint venture between Yapı Merkezi of Turkey and Morogoro of Portugal. Construction began in April 2017, and operations officially launched in June 2024. This railway was partially financed through the Export Credit Bank of Turkey. On the other hand, Kenya's SGR consists of two main sections. The first runs 472 kilometers from Mombasa to Nairobi. It was constructed by China Road and Bridge Corporation, CRBC, and completed in 2017. The second segment, from Nairobi to Naivasha, spans 120 kilometers. It was built by China Communications Construction Company, CCCC, and commissioned in 2019. Kenya's SGR was largely funded by the China Exim Bank. Now, let's talk financing. The Mombasa to Nairobi segment cost $23 billion. Of that, 90%, about $2.9 billion, it was funded by China Exim Bank, while the remaining 10% came from the government of Kenya. The Nairobi to Naivasha section cost around $1.5 billion. It was 85% financed by China Exim Bank, or roughly $1.275 billion. And 15%, about $225 million, was covered by the Kenyan government. Meanwhile, the Dar es Salaam to Dodoma section was financed at a total cost of $1.46 billion. The funding was arranged by Standard Chartered Bank, acting as global coordinator and lead arranger. The largest share came through export credit guarantees from the export credit agencies of Denmark and Sweden. Additional support came from the Trade and Development Bank, Exim Bank, and the Development Bank of Southern Africa. Now, let's move to something every traveler cares about: ticket prices. Starting with Kenya. The journey from Mombasa to Naivasha is priced by class. After the 2024 fare adjustment, economy class tickets cost around 1,750 Kenyan shillings, or about $14. First class fares go up to 5,000 Kenyan shillings, or roughly $40. This reflects Kenya's dual-class diesel-powered service. In contrast, Tanzania's electrified SGR, running 444 kilometers from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma, offers a broader fare range. Standard class tickets start as low as $5 and go up to $14 depending on seating and booking method. For those seeking comfort, premium class seats are available at $55, complete with air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and other modern amenities. Kenya offers a more affordable entry-level fare, while Tanzania delivers a faster, electrified experience with upgraded onboard comfort at a premium price. Kenya's SGR is longer, busier, and connects more economic hubs, but it's diesel-powered and more exposed to fuel price volatility. Tanzania's SGR is modern, eco-friendly, and offers greater passenger comfort, though it currently covers a shorter route and serves fewer people. With all this information, I leave you with one question. Which country currently operates the better standard gauge railway, Kenya or Tanzania? Leave your comment below and do not forget to subscribe.